whole idea is to buy these correctly and to work with the homeowner to keep them in their homes with payments they can afford while making a profit for myself.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello, and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me, I'm excited to have Martin Saenz. Martin, how are you doing today?
Good, Todd. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And thanks for joining us. So a little bit about Martin. He brings social good into smart investing. Martin is a managing partner of Bequest Funds, renowned as a thought leader in the mortgage note industry. Martin is generous in his firsthand experience or expertise to the benefit of his many clients and followers, genuine, loyal, passionate about creating a better world through profitable business. He works hard to share and spread success, and that's what he's going to do today for our listeners. So together with Martin's business partner, Shawn, they co-founded Bequest Funds with the dual purpose of helping investors grow their wealth and helping mortgage borrowers also stay in their homes. And so we'll kind of dive into what that looks like. And we talked before the show too, that you own multiple companies or have owned multiple companies prior to launching Bequest. You've also are a buy and hold investor, and so you do a lot. And so I want to dive in, talk about how you operate that business successfully and how you kind of, also balance, of course, you've got wife and 4 kids. And so how you balance it also. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. You make it sound like a lot of activity.
You're like, wow, I'm just tired. I can't believe it. What happened? I felt so energized before this.
Yeah.
It's good. So tell me a little bit, I gave a brief intro, but what did I miss? What's your background coming into, where you're at today? What's your background?
Yeah. I mean, I could give the academic background. I have an MBA, I have an MS in project management. So I have the whole formal education thing. And however, prior to getting formal education, prior to getting fired from a corporate job and kind of moving into entrepreneurship, I always had a hunger in my belly. I always, after undergrad, I majored in philosophy, by the way. So if you ever want to experience cruelty in this world, to the nth degree, then get a philosophy degree. Because then, because I had temp agencies that said that I was underqualified to work with a temp agency. So it was just all the doors were closed. But, I was always looking at the real estate ads for land that was being sold. I didn't quite understand what I was looking for or why I was looking at it. Yeah. But I always had that kind of inkling to do something for myself.
That's funny. I did that a lot too. I would look at these like ads, I'd pick up the gas station would have a little pamphlet with all like the real estate listings. And so I'd pick that up and I'd go through it all and look for, a cabin or a land or, something. Mm-hmm. And I was the same way. I didn't know really what I was looking for, but for some reason my brain was like, this is attractive. Like that you should buy some of this stuff. And I would always joke that with one of my friends when I was younger that, we're going to be these big, land barons and own a bunch of properties. And I guess here I am. But
there you go. There you go.
I wasn't thinking of it looking like this, but it all works out. So, okay.
The work part, you weren't thinking that there would be this much work involved in it all.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like super easy, right? Everybody says it's passive income. Is it passive income? Like, is this truly passive income?
Passive income. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, that's right. But it's a lot of fun work. You're building businesses. So you've built multiple businesses. What were the other businesses that you built?
Yeah. So, when my wife and I started, we tried to do a few different ventures. I got fired from a corporate job in '04, and we really went to a whole host of real estate seminars. We would drive 5 hours to go to a real estate seminar. We would be self-educating ourselves. We thought we were going to open up a pet walking business, a sub shop. And because it was one of those things, it was, we were just looking to find what we wanted to do, and we knew that we
Sure.
wanted to do it together. So there was this gourmet sub shop that was for sale. And I was just thinking, I'm like, well, my wife's an incredible cook. So I'm like, why wouldn't she want to make sandwiches for the universe?
Yeah.
And then until she said, no, absolutely not. I'm just cooking for you. So we just had this whole back and forth journey for about a year and a half. And we stumbled upon a museum exhibit company,
Hmm.
by which we were just primarily selling to the federal government. And that's what we laid our hat on. We were living in the DC area at the time. And that began our entrepreneurial journey.
What do you mean a museum? Explain. I have no clue what you're talking about. Explain that.
So, if you go into a museum and you see murals on the walls, you see cabinets that are built, you
Yeah.
see artifacts displayed, you see mannequins, all sorts of visual aids. Well, the federal government dolls up their federal buildings and various installations with types of museum artifacts and displays and artwork projects. So
Hmm.
that's what we did as a profession.
Interesting. Interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing, but that's pretty cool. It's amazing, those listeners, man. It's just amazing like how many different opportunities there are out there. It's not that you have to like go do one thing. You can do so many different things. So what happened to that business? Did you decide why'd you decide to get out of it? What happened there?
Yeah, so we actually eventually, after kind of 3 years of grueling, being really beat down financially, and getting the business off the ground, we decided to sell the company. We had contracts with the Pentagon, and I
Hmm.
mean, we did all types of projects for very influential people in the government, like a Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Navy.
Hmm.
So we had a lot of prestigious projects, past performance under our belt, and we decided to sell it because at the time it was extremely profitable, and we were putting in 100-hour work weeks, and we wanted to start building a family.
Yeah.
The business was a baby for a long time, but it was time to kind of move on from that point, and we wanted something a little bit more passive in terms of wealth building.
Yeah. Yeah. So you created a business that was making money, but you really created a job for yourselves, it sounds like.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Jobs, plural.
Jobs, yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of hours, so that's definitely
Oh yeah, I mean,
so
I start my day at 4 now, but I mean, I would start the day, at installations at 4 or 5 in the morning,
wow.
and then I would end up, at Buffalo Wild Wings at 10 at night writing proposals, while having a few
Wow.
beers, kind of mixing in social life with proposal writing. So, that wears on you over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, you can only do that for so long. I mean, it's okay to have that grind. I tell everybody, when I first started this business, I was grinding. I mean, and then you're going to, it's okay to have that grind, but if you got to keep that grind up the entire time, it's just not sustainable. You can't do it for 5 years, 10 years. It's just not going to happen. And you can do it for periods of time. And maybe some people are more machines than me, but I feel like I've got a pretty dang good work ethic. And for me, there has to be seasons of me not putting in 100-hour work weeks. Otherwise I'm done.
Yeah.
And you're not having fun. You're not having fun. I'm assuming you stopped having fun in that business after a period of time.
Oh yeah, yeah. After a period of time, it just became so I became spiritually void. And I would be traveling around the country doing projects at various military installations. I would be drinking way more than I needed to drink, and I hardly drink now. I mean, occasionally, but it was just I was spiritually bankrupt. So the best two things that happened is when we sold the company, we sold it at the height of its performance, so we got a good amount for it. And then also too, I found a relationship with God and really just kind of changed my life around, whereby I said, well, I want to build a business smarter next time, one that's more delivers more passive income, but also one where I'm of service to other people versus just trying to obtain material possessions.
Yeah, powerful. That's awesome. Um, so what business was next then?
Yeah, so my wife and I had maintained our portfolio of commercial and residential properties. We still own that. We still own those today. However, we have been selling off some residential properties because the market is sizzling hot,
Yeah.
and so that's been real positive. As for the next venture, I stumbled upon the note industry, and what the thought behind that is that, well, let me just back up. So the mortgage note industry is basically, for me, the area that I got into was distressed mortgage notes. So these are mortgages whereby the borrower has not made a payment in 4 or 5 years. So the whole idea is to buy these correctly and to work with the homeowner to keep them in their homes with payments they can afford while making a profit for myself. So that's kind of the idea behind note investing. However, what I found was just kind of I found kind of a whole interesting road whereby you have to do it very carefully. There's a lot of pitfalls, and there's a huge steep learning curve, along with also too a capital requirement. But it was fun and exciting, and that was my next venture.
So note investing. So you're buying distressed mortgages. So, I mean, you're buying mortgages from people who maybe lost their job, maybe got a divorce, maybe somebody died in the family, or maybe they just don't want to pay their mortgage because they don't like paying mortgages. Who knows? I
Mhm.
mean, but most of the time it's probably, the first, what I said.
Yeah.
So you got these people that can't pay their mortgage. Your goal is to come in and to buy this mortgage and get them to pay, convince them, hey, I know you weren't paying before, but I want you to pay. Like, take me through that. First of all, let's start from, I guess, the start, because that's a big question. Um, where do you find, how do you find these things? Like, how do you find a distress note to buy, and who do you call? Like, do you call like 1-800-NOTES?
Ah. Well, I mean, there's some websites that are online marketplaces
There are.
for note trading, like paperstack.com. And so, one can buy in a retail setting that way. However, for one to have a sustained business in note investing, you really need to cultivate relationships within the secondary mortgage market space. So this
So
is the area whereby the loan was originated
yeah.
at a bank or some lending institution. It became defaulted, got bundled into a tranche, and sold into this flea market, by which is called secondary mortgage market, where hedge funds are buying and selling these assets.
But I mean, how do you even like, how do you even know where those are? Like, I don't think the common person has a clue. Like, where do you find the secondary? Do you call your local bank and say, hey, I want to buy your distressed notes? Or like, what do you?
So it's interesting. I wrote a whole book on how to find
Buy the
distressed
book.
mortgage. Well, no, it's not.
Yeah.
The book sells well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting because I'm kind of an introvert by nature, and then I wrote the book, Note Investing Made Easier. It's one of 5 books I've written, and once I wrote that, then it's just people just started coming out of the woodworks,
Hmm.
and I started connecting with people and became like a spotlight
Yeah.
got placed on me. But to find it, it's probably no different than finding a multi-property deal outside CoStar. You have to have deep rooted relationships with brokers and all other owners of these properties, so you can cultivate off market transactions,
Hmm.
negotiated deals. And so that's really what I did, and it takes a long time, and you have to develop an identity. You have to become someone that they can trust to transact with.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole marketing and branding effort that goes behind it. However, once you start transacting with certain players, then the reputation grows, and people start coming back to you, sellers start coming to you with repeat opportunities.
Um, okay. So you find an opportunity, you buy it. Is it you're buying it all cash, or can you
Oh
finance
yeah.
it?
Oh yeah. We buy yeah, I self-funded transactions for the first 4 or 5 years. And now we have I have a partner, and we have one capital partner, and it's pretty much that's how we roll on that side of the fence. That's not how Bequest Funds is set up, the income fund, but that's how the distress side is set up.
Got it. And then how do you so you buy this note and your goal is to try to actually keep the people in it. Your goal is not to try to foreclose, I'm assuming, right? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, there's two
So
exits with every there's two exits with every note purchase. So you're either exiting through the property, through foreclosure or deed in lieu, or you're exiting through the borrower in terms of a loan modification or a payoff.
okay. So how so explain that. How do you keep them in and how do you actually make money if with them still in there?
Yeah, so you're buying these notes at a discount. So the whole idea is for us is I built a team of asset managers that treat the homeowners like gold. They treat them like valued customers, and so they're treated with respect. We look to engage in dialogue with the homeowners. We look to understand what they can pay financially to help them get back on track. So we take a whole compassionate approach, and given the
Mm.
fact that we purchase these notes at a discount, it allows us to make certain concessions to help the homeowners get back on track. So our philosophy is one of service, and I believe that goes a long way in terms of us creating kind of long enduring loan modifications with these homeowners. And that's how it's kind of that whole we've built a portfolio of these performing mortgages that were, had a scratch and dent at one point, like you mentioned, a divorce or some health issue. Now they're back on track with us, and these are seasoned, paying notes every month. They're paying like clockwork.
And so then do you sell those at a pre do you sell those later at a premium sometimes or do you keep them all?
So we keep them, and it actually helps fuel our operation. As we, in the last 18 months, we've purchased about $30 million of these distressed mortgages. So we're an active buyer in the marketplace. And the thought behind Bequest Funds, which is an income fund which houses performing mortgages that are similar to the mortgages that I just mentioned, where they're modified and they're
Mm.
seasoned. So our intention initially was to create a legacy play whereby we could purchase these performing mortgages from our distressed hedge fund into Bequest and make a legacy play for ourselves and our investors, because it's set up as an evergreen fund. However, what we found is that we ended up leaving a majority of our performing mortgages in our hedge fund to fund the operation, while we're buying reperforming these performing mortgages slash reperforming mortgages from the secondary market, third party.
Okay. Okay. So are you taking I just want to clarify this because I don't know if I have it right or not. Are you taking these distressed mortgages that you buy and then bringing them into the fund and then or selling them into the fund basically, and then to
So,
repurpose your capital to buy more?
yeah, so on occasion we do that. However, we generally don't. We generally in the fund, in the income fund, we generally are raising capital. It's a 506c Reg D fund. So
Yeah.
we're raising, it's a $50 million fund. So we're raising money into the fund, and then we're going out into the secondary mortgage market space and buying performing mortgages at a 12 to 14% yield. And then we're paying our investors either an 8 or 9% pref on a
Got it.
monthly basis.
Got it.
So that's kind of how the fund's set up. So we're actually keeping our portfolio of performing mortgages on the hedge fund side while building a portfolio of performing mortgages on the income fund side.
Interesting. Um, so how much of a discount are you typically getting on these distressed? I mean, is it 50% off? Is it 80% off? Is there like a specific percentage? You know, let's say a borrower owes $200,000. What could you expect to get off on it?
Yeah, so when I first started, it was a lot less. It was half of what it is now at minimum. But right now, for good quality assets, you're looking at 30 cents to 60 cents on the dollar
That's what you're paying. You're paying 30 to 60 cents on the
for
dollar
distressed,
for
yes.
distressed.
And
Okay.
then when we're buying
You have
into,
some room to be able to rework um, how they pay you, right? Because
yeah,
if you're buying a $100,000 mortgage for $30,000, they were paying based on, you know, probably more than 100, quite frankly, because their mortgage maybe started at 150 or whatever it was. But now you could say, well, we're going to redo this and you're going to pay based on that 30 at this rate, and maybe it's a little bit higher rate and whatever, but it's the payment probably could drastically go down. You could still make a really good return.
yeah, yeah. I mean
Yeah.
that's the whole idea is
Yeah.
to the whole idea is to create a plan that's going to fit the bars, debt to income and
Mm.
what they can afford monthly, because everything else is pie in the sky if the bar is unable to make those payments monthly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you could sit here and go, wow, look at the amount of money we could make on this deal. Like we could charge, we got this thing for 25 cents on the dollar, and look at how much we could charge these guys. But then they don't make their payments. And then now you got it distressed and it's sitting there distressed still, and you're not making any money.
So it's an art, there's the science, the math, but there's the art of putting that all together.
Hmm. And you said earlier, you've got a whole team that works on putting those together with the borrowers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
And we use a licensed servicer for monthly statements, for collecting payments. However, our asset managers are also there for the borrowers to engage, and if they have any questions or concerns.
So, I mean, very, very intriguing business. I think it's really interesting, and obviously, you wrote a book on it, so people that want to know more and probably dig in details and learn it themselves can buy that book, and we'll put that in the show notes too, so people can look at it and buy it. Um, let's talk about the business aspect of it, and you've owned a few businesses. What's what's some one or two, let's just talk one first. What's one mistake that you've really made that that you've learned from and you can pass on to our listeners?
Yeah, I stayed small in the beginning for the first 4 or 5 years, and so I should have scaled up sooner, because
Mm,
I would have taken down a lot of product that was a lot more affordable at the time.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
so I just thinking small and acting small.
I'm right there with you. I say the same thing all the time. People ask me that question. I've said Same thing. You think small and you look back and go, why was I doing that? Like it just didn't make sense.
Scared, so fear, right? I mean,
Fear.
there's a number of things.
Yeah, fear. And I don't know if it was the same for you, but for me, and it's probably feeds really into fear. But for me, it was like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm not prepared yet. I've got to get better at it before I go do it. And it
Yeah.
ultimately probably still comes down to that was just you being afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm an introvert too. So,
Yeah.
I can be left alone and I'll be very happy for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. Interesting. So what advice would you give our listeners to operate a business successfully? Maybe 3 habits, 3 tips that you can provide us to operate a business successfully.
I'll say this in terms of investing, invest in assets that cash flow and that you have control over. There's so much in this world that we don't have control over. So you have to figure out what you can control and invest time and energy in that. And as
Mhm.
far as investing in assets, monthly cash flow is everything. And that's why we created Bequest as a legacy play to create monthly income for individuals to help them cover their expenses and to grow their wealth. And so I also wrote Cash Flow Dojo last year, build your home on multiple streams of income. And I know it's like a double plug, but honestly, that's what I feel in my heart of hearts is that I'm very passionate about, helping myself, my family, my team, my staff, my people around me, people listening to this, that their whole emphasis should be on building multiple streams of income in their lives. It's just not enough to have one stream of income in a family or even dual income in a family. Husband that needs to take care of their children, they should be grinding it out and educating themselves, doing whatever it takes. Spouses, wives in relationships, same thing. It's the way inflation's about to hit our economy. People, I hope they're ready. I pray they're ready because we're about to see inflation like we've never seen post COVID. In my personal opinion, I hope I'm wrong, but you're gonna get crushed if your wages are stagnant and price at the pump is $5 a gallon. You're gonna get crushed. You're going to the grocery store and prices have doubled for your grocery bill. You're going to be buying cheaper food and not feeding your body well. I mean, a whole host of things are going to go on.
Yeah, that's a whole conversation in itself, and I don't know where it's going to go. I can't see how we're not going to have a large amount of inflation, but you're right. I mean, those who are counting on their steady paycheck, um, there's going to be difficult times if we do have a large amount of inflation happening. If we have, this, even if it's a sustained 4 to 5%, that's a big amount of inflation, especially because your income likely is not going up 4 to 5%. Now, a lot of people are getting paid a lot more at the low end. We're seeing that already, but trust me, if you're now
Who's the
getting,
unforgotten though? Like the unforgotten class in our economy is not the minimum wage
yeah,
workers.
yeah,
It's the
it's
middle
the middle
class.
class. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
That's the unforgotten. Those are the ones that will get decimated.
and even those that are now, we're making, you know, $7, $8 an hour, and now making $12 to $15 an hour. They're not going to get 5% bump every single year. Inflation's going to swallow them really quickly. They're going to be back to basically, it looks like now they're making $7 an hour again because inflation took over.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it's all relative, and I think people aren't prepared, like you said. So
You're in the multifamily space. I mean, rents are going up,
yeah,
right? I mean, there's
yeah.
tons of real estate investors that are cheering that on. Their debt, they have low cost of capital, right?
Mhm.
3-4%, whatever. And property taxes may be kind of creeping up a little bit, but rents are going to go up, profit margins are going up. There's people that are starting to pop the champagne bottle, but it's not a good thing
It's not a
for a
good thing.
lot. It's not going to be a good thing for a lot of people
Yeah.
that are not placing emphasis on building multiple streams of income. They should
Yeah.
be on like your podcast, what we're talking about. I mean, this is survival.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. That's good. So you called that, you said that book was called Cash Flow Dojo. Is that what you said?
Cash flow dojo. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So it's just
Awesome.
like house of training, right? Discipline. Everything starts with discipline. Um, I think even before discipline, right? Pruning the bushes, as Jim Rome talks about, and, cutting things out of your life that are not
Yeah.
bringing value,
Yeah.
or not kind of working towards free financial freedom for your family. That kind of starts, throw the TV out the window.
Yeah.
First thing, get off YouTube. If YouTube's, if you're looking at cat videos or what have you, I mean, now's the time really to roll the sleeves up and to get to work for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Throw out the noise, get rid of the noise that's in your life. And then also economically get rid of those extra expenses that you really don't serve any purpose to you.
I deleted my Facebook account.
Did
I
you?
mean, I did that last year. I mean, I got on Facebook one night and I just felt like my stress level
Yeah.
increase, and I just felt crappy being 10 minutes on Facebook. And I'm like, I was feeling pretty good till I turned on Facebook. I'm like, this is garbage. I'm like, this is just garbage. I mean, I love seeing the pictures of the cute kids and I'm
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about that. But there's just so much garbage
So
on there.
much trash on there. You're right. It's a breeding ground of a lot of drama, a lot of hate, a lot of just a lot of trash, like you said. I I haven't deleted my account. I didn't go that far, but I was on Facebook a decent amount, and I I bet it's been almost 6 months, and I have been on it maybe just a couple times. I
Yeah.
just don't. I just said this is enough. When all the political drama was happening, and
Yeah.
I just was like, this is enough. I can't handle it. And I think you're right. You've got to cut that stuff out. You've got to be able to focus on what's really important in your life. And that's going to be, taking care of your family, building your
Yeah.
business, those types of things, and not, you know, watching cat videos.
Yeah. I mean, even now, like if you're a renter and your lease is coming up in 6 months, I would be talking to my landlord now. I'd say, hey, how can I re-up at the same rate? Yeah, just start thinking
Yeah.
about, how to handle, address your expenses while you're thinking of top line
Yep.
for
Yep.
revenue.
Yeah. Oh man, good stuff. I think so important too. Just the simple things. So we got to wrap up, but I want to ask a couple last questions before we do. Uh, how do you like to give back? Obviously, with your no business, you ours, or any other ways that you like to give back?
Yeah. So, we're, my wife and I go to church, and so we like to give back to some causes that the church undergoes. So we like to give back there. I really enjoy writing the books I've written
Mm,
with the emphasis on helping some individuals. I get a lot of positive feedback whereby people have been able to take some nuggets away that have helped them in their journey of building their own business for themselves. So I get a lot of satisfaction in that, knowing that I'm doing a small part of helping someone else, because I know how incredibly stressful and difficult it is starting your own business. I get it, and I've been through all those pains. Even spiritually, I even talked about. So any help that I can give, that warms my heart that I can do that.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you got 5 books that you've written. So man, that takes a lot of time and dedication to write 5 books. You definitely have more patience than I do. But
I wouldn't have been
that's
able to do it if I had the government contracting business.
no way, no way. Not working 100 hours a week. No, there's
Yeah.
no way. Which is the blessing of the no investing business and the multiple streams of income that you've been able to create is that it allows a lot more time freedom, probably more money freedom as well.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Um, what's a favorite book other than your own that you can pass on to our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to give you Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, that's the book that really kind of transformed my thinking of things. Grant Cardone, 10X. I'm a big fan of kind of his motivational work, and so I just would put those two books out.
Cool. That's awesome. Last question. What are your 3 pillars of wealth creation?
Yeah, so I wrote about that in Note Investing Fundamentals. I have actually 3
Nice.
pillars, and that's why I was kind of
I like
chuckling
it.
when I got invited onto your podcast. So, in order to build a successful note investing business, I believe these 3 pillars are required. And the first pillar is identity. You have to form an identity in the space, and next one is community. You have to form a community around you, and the third one's mechanics. And people tend to flock to the mechanic pillar because they want to be the doer.
Yeah.
But you need equal emphasis on building the community and identity.
Yeah. And you probably need to build the identity and the community first. Well, maybe especially the identity first, right?
Yeah. So in the book I wrote about, and I believe this in my heart of hearts, I believe that everyone daily should be actually doing activities as it relates to each of the 3 pillars. So everything is in conjunction and tied together.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right. Well, again, really appreciate you being on the show, and we could probably keep talking about a lot of things,
Yeah.
inflation and, handling your money and all that kind of stuff. But we do need to wrap up. So how can our listeners get in touch with you, learn more about what you got going on, see the books that you've written, that type of stuff?
Sure. So they can go to bqfunds.com to get more information on the fund. They can email me at martin@bqfunds.com, and myself or one of the team members will send you out a free ebook on Bequest Funds. And
So that's B as in boy and Q like queen.
Q as in Quincy, F as in Frank, U as in umbrella, N as in Nancy, D as in dog, S as in Sam.com.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Martin, again, appreciate you joining us, and you have a fantastic rest of the day.
You as well, Todd.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.